And that is us live. Hello, Lee. How are you doing?
Hello, Paul. Not so bad. Well, a bit under the weather, but I think everybody is at the moment.
Well, yes. First of all, many thanks for joining us from your hospital bed, which
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
which doesn't look too uncomfortable. Hopefully,
No.
and of course, as my second adopted son, it's very important we have a chat every now and again just to
Yep,
see
definitely.
how things are going.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, I want to discuss a little bit about next season and also this season because it's been a bit interesting. But I want to first of all, and I don't know if we've ever really done this, looked at your career so far because it's interesting. I think I sent you, didn't I,
You did.
the information. Um, Let me just bring that up. So I want to take you back to Sheffield, 2001, 2002, when you first joined Sheffield.
Yeah.
I take it that's your local track.
Yeah, it's only like about an hour.
Yep. And did I hear that you started off as a grass tracker?
Yeah, I started off on the grass track, and the reason why I came to Speedway was due to the fact the foot and mouth came.
How on earth would you ride grass track though in Yorkshire? It's full of coal mines and steelworks, isn't it? I mean, there's no grass tracks around there, is there?
It's just full of cow pats, I'm afraid.
So did you have to travel far to do the grass
I
track?
think
Are they mainly on the south coast?
there's like Pickering, that's like an hour and a half, 2 hours
All
away.
right.
That's the local one. There's one in was Upper Cumberworth. That's
Mm-hmm.
like Huddersfield Way.
Oh, right.
Used to be one in Skipton back in the day when I was only a youngster.
Wow.
So, and then obviously then you get the ones down south, Kent and Cornwall and places like
So what was the attraction of grass track back then?
that. Well, my dad's friend, his kids were doing grass track, and my dad thought we might enjoy it, so he got us a bike, and we just had a little plane, and it kind of progressed from there.
And what gave him this inkling that you might enjoy it? Because I would say you probably more than just enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was 3, 4 years old, I used to be on the front of my dad's trials bike. He used to go up like really big hills and stuff like that. And I got like the buzz, the adrenaline.
Yeah.
So my dad, at the age of 5, he used to be on his 125 motocross bike. He used to set me off in the field. I used to drive round the field for hours on end until the fuel ran out and I'd fall off. But yeah, I just couldn't get enough.
And so, I mean, I'm not even going to hazard a guess as to how well you did at the grass tracking. I would imagine very well.
Yeah, I did win a lot of British championships, Supreme championships. Did really well. I raced against Richard Hall, David Wallinger,
Yeah,
all them boys. I mean, the list goes on. But yeah, we had some really good times. Really good times.
sure. And so obviously, eventually, you ended up doing speedway. Is that considered a sort of natural progression?
Um, the only reason why, well, to be fair, people always said to me, "Do you fancy doing speedway?" I'm like, "Nope, nope,
No.
nope, just not interested."
Mm-hmm.
And then foot and mouth came, and I wanted to just race my bike. And then Dave Lord at New Track, he built a prototype speedway bike. Asked me to have a little go on it, so I had to go on it down at Newport actually. And
Wow.
then from then, people started talking. Then I was signed, and that was it.
Yeah.
Never looked back. Yeah.
And I don't suppose you remember the members of the Sheffield team back then in 2001, 2002?
Yep, I do. Ben Wilson, Lee Hodgson, Cambridge. What's his name? James Birkinshaw,
Yeah.
David Spate. Um, that was the conference side, obviously, but then the main body team was Spud, um, Scott Smith, Ricky Ashworth,
Scud.
John Wilson.
Yeah.
Who else were there? James Birkinshaw was in that team as well.
So did you say Sean Wilson was in the team back then?
Yeah, he was
And
the main
and and and, and, and Ricky.
and Ricky was there. Yeah,
But I mean, back then, could you tell that Wiki was this guy that was just so keen to break the track record? It just seemed that every week in the Speedway Star, he'd lowered it by another
To be
tenth of a
fair with
second.
Ricky, he had a style that nobody else had. I mean,
Yeah,
he made the bike do the work, and obviously when he was going around the Sheffield, he didn't lock up, so he kept his wheels in line, and you could see of his style, it was absolutely second to none.
yeah. Am I right in thinking that his track record 59.1? It's never been beaten in like the last 10 years or so.
No, no, not at
I mean,
all.
it was being speculated that obviously that this year's Premiership final at Owlerton, you've got Bellevue versus Sheffield. It was speculated then, surely if it's going to get beaten, it's going to be
Gonna be
get
then,
beaten
yeah.
tonight. But nah,
But there's not the shale that there used to be.
right.
You see, and obviously back then you used to go into the corner and you had to bank your bike down just to get around the corner. It was great, but obviously things changed. The engines, the exhaust, you know what I mean? Many things changed, don't they?
That was quite a spectacular team you had back then. And
We won the treble, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
and when you joined at Sheffield, who were your sort of main heroes of the team? Who were the ones that sort of took you under their wing, and who were the ones that you tried to learn from?
Obviously got on well with them. Obviously Simon Stead was in the team back then.
Yeah.
But I started off at reserve, but then I went to number 2. So I was with Sean Wilson all the time. So it was just me and Sean. And to be fair, he took me under the wing. And even now, even to this day, he's still doing so much for me. It's unreal. Yeah.
I saw some footage during the summer. I don't know if you saw it I think it was David Norris posted some videos of them touring with Great Britain back in the sort of late 90s.
No, I've not seen that.
It was absolutely brilliant. I must, yeah.
I've heard some tales.
You must get in touch with Dave Norris.
Yeah. Some stories that have come out though when they used to go on tour and stuff. You're like, how did you get away with that? You know what I mean?
But would it not be accepted that if you're going to get a load of British guys coming across to Australia and they are speedway riders, you're going to expect a certain amount of hijinks anyway. So just factor that in. Give them a minivan, send them a camper van, send them around Australia, and they'll sort it out. It's good education for them.
Yeah, I mean it was good. I think I can't remember what year it was. I think it might have been 2002. There was me, Simon Stead, Chris Harris, Ollie Allen. Who else were there? I think it might have been Andrew Moore. We did under-21s, England versus Sweden.
Wow.
We toured Sweden, and that was fantastic. I mean, my dad came out and it was just the time we had was just amazing. It's something I'd never forget.
Sure. How old were you back then?
16, 17.
I was going to say, the very first time I saw you, I think I've mentioned this before. You guested. Peter Waite got you up to Sheffield to guest for the Bandits, and I don't think you scored a maximum, but I remember at the end of the meeting going up to the Grove when the Grove was on the go, instead of black and gold, and speaking to Peter Waite and saying, "My goodness, that Lee Complin, he was pulling lines I'd never ever seen before." Well, as it turned out, of course, that would have been around about 2001, 2002. And as it turns out, if you watch a video of Mark Laram winning the Border-Annapolis in 1999 in the pouring rain, he does the same move. It's a cutback on the fourth bend.
Oh yeah.
You did it against whoever it was that night, and of course there's a recently done video by Berwick Speedway Productions, Graham Cleary cameraman with Marty and James on commentary. And Sam Masters does the same to Leon Flint. It's that cutback on the fourth bend, but you must be pulling your arms out.
It's
trying to cut back on there.
Yeah, it's like it's such a big bank. So you let the bike do the work, but obviously they're going to go up high to stop you run. So you've kind of got to go into the dirt, kind of got to cut back and then get your wheels in line, but you can always it could just launch you and you'd be off back. So it's one of those where you've got to be holding on.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, back then as a 16-year-old, you wouldn't have had the same sort of muscles that you've got now. I mean, you are a powerfully built fella now.
Yeah, well, I'm on a strict diet at the moment, so I'm losing my way steady away. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm on a strict diet as well. The more whiskey, the better. Cheers.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're on Lucasade.
Cheers. Yeah.
Cheers. Moving forward then. So, looking at your career, we've got 2001, 2002, 2002. What? Sorry, 122 for some. Yeah, that's sorry. Hold on a sec. 2001 Sheffield, you did 30 meetings.
Right.
2002, explain this. You did 9 meetings for Bellevue, 53 meetings for Sheffield.
Right.
You must have been going here and there and everywhere.
I literally just we was in all the cups, you see. So we were literally that's when we won the treble. So we literally from one meeting to another, and then we like say we won everything that year, absolutely everything. I've got a plaque down in the garage, and it's like with all the riders on and me, and that's like a memorabilia that I'll never get rid of.
Yeah, yeah. And also, must point out that 2001, although your average was a modest 5.5, you managed 2 paid maximum. And in 2002, when you did your 53 meetings for Sheffield, your average was up to 7.67, 1 full maximum, 1 paid maximum. Now, dare I say it, you're not somebody that's really known for scoring maximums, because otherwise you wouldn't let the opposition out the gate so quickly, would you?
No,
Yeah. But having achieved that 7.67 average, and in 2002, how old were you? I think you were about 18, 19.
I'm 38 now.
Yeah.
So
18.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it came as a complete shock. And I'm even to me as a diehard Berwick fan I'd only seen you ride for for us once. I'd never been to Sheffield back then, but it came as a complete shock, I think, to the whole Speedway world, even up in parts of Gala Shields, that Lee Complin retired.
Yeah, it was a decision I didn't take lightly. But, like I say, my dad had to do every single meeting because obviously I didn't have my driving license, so he'd have to work all the time. And then, like I say, there was one meeting that I do remember. It was against Isle of Wight, and I was in my English exam, which was a 3.5 hour exam.
Yeah,
I did half an hour, wrote my name, ran out of there. Neil Machin picked me up in his BMW and drove me over to Isle of Wight so I could do the meeting.
Yep.
That's what I mean.
Well, you've got to get your you've got to get your priorities right,
Exactly.
What do you need English for? You can speak Yorkshire. What do you need English
for? Exactly. That knows.
But that's. I suppose. Would it be unfair to say that there's almost an element of, we've got a young talent. We're just going to use him as much as we can.
It was. Don't get me wrong. I look back now, and it is what it is. I'd love to have stayed doing it and that, but family comes first for me, and I wouldn't put anything in front of that. Friends, family, and I love Speedway. I love motorbikes, so it was a massive decision for me to have to do. And obviously coming back again when I did, and then obviously then having children, that were another thing. And just things happen for a reason, but it's how you bounce back and how you get back on board or get back on the bike and then show people that you still got it.
Yep, I must admit, it was with a very much a tinge of sadness that I read about Lee Complin retiring such an early age. But as you say, you have to put family first. There was no way that you could carry on doing that many meetings, without it impacting. So then, obviously, you came back. Judging by this, 2007, I've got you down as Bellevue 1 meeting, Reading 1 meeting, Peterborough 2 meetings, and Stoke 37 meetings, 7.47 average, one paid maximum.
Yeah.
How did Luma Road attract you?
It was a track that it was kind of a racer's track. It wasn't massive, but it wasn't
No.
small, and there was some good lines. And I got on so well with Dave Tam. I mean,
Yeah.
like we were like best friends, and obviously the sadness of him passing was a
Yeah.
shock. And he's the reason why I've come back because prior to the year before I passed, we
Yeah.
nearly did the deal with Newcastle, but I backed out at the last minute because I couldn't give it 100%. I was
Sure.
90%. So I didn't want
Yeah.
to waste his time. And then obviously, then the year after, I came back.
Yep. And what was it that brought you back into Speedway?
This time,
No, sorry, back then,
but
2007. Having been away for 5 years.
it was, I tell you what happened was, I didn't even really think about it. I was speaking with Benji Compton.
Right.
I kind of grew up with Benji and his dad Neil and that.
Yeah.
I do remember that I think there was a meeting at Scunthorpe, that's right. And it was like, what was it now? It was like handicap meeting. So if
Right.
you won a race, you went set off at the back, and then
Oh,
vice versa and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, do you know, so I'm gonna have a go. So I said to
yeah.
Benji, "Can I borrow your bike?" So he goes, yeah. So I borrowed his bike, and I remember, I mean, it'd be nothing to anyone listening to this, but to me, it was a big thing. Not even being on a speedway bike, and obviously I set off at the front, and I had Josh Orty, who was fantastic round there at that time. He was behind me, and like I kept him behind me for 4 laps. And for me to do that, I thought, do you know something? I think I might still have it. I thought, do you know, I'm going to give it. That's what happened. Yeah,
I bet Josh Rorty was cursing you all the way
they
around.
were pretty much. You were, yeah, yeah. I mean, with nothing to some people, but to me, to come back after that many years out to jump on a speedway bike and to beat someone like Josh round that kind of track, it did me a world of good.
Well, I'll give you an example. I've represented both England and Scotland at UK accordion championships. But what happened was I was competing in UK championships representing the southwest of England up until I was 16. I then moved to Scotland and I basically retired from competition when I was 18
Right.
because I'd got pupils that were competing. So, I wasn't going to compete against pupils. And
Yeah.
then I started back again in my sort of late 40s,
Yeah.
representing Scotland. And it was like unfinished business.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
That's what it like for me, to be honest. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You've got,
Definitely.
um, and the thing is that although, compared with somebody that had been racing all that time, they've got those years advantage on you. But it's almost like a machine. They've taken those miles off the clock, whereas you're coming in fresh.
Mm, yeah. It's like I've always had to play catch up. Do you
Right.
know what I mean? So it's like catch up in a sense of with tracks, sense of engines, exhaust. It's just everything. I've always been playing catch up, and I've always been there or thereabouts as well. So this is why I stuck it out this year because I'm determined and I know I want it.
Mm-hmm. But there must be an energy that in some ways, when you came back, in 2007, you're still the 18-year-old that finished last time,
This
and
is
there's
it.
still that energy.
Oh, I mean, I'm just so enthusiastic about it all, and
Yeah.
like I said, this time is different. So the last 2 times I give it a go, it was not half-hearted. I wanted to do it, but there's always something that just wasn't right. Where this time things have been put in my path, and I've just gone through them, and I'm not letting out get in my way. And the help I'm getting from people is just fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Well, looking at the figures here, so 2007, as I say, Bellevue, Reading, Peterborough, Stoke. 2008, only had the 17 meetings at Stoke, but your highest average, I would say, of all of them, you got up to 795.
I think
Um,
that the reason why I didn't have many meetings then was when I had my car crash.
yes, I was going to say, you can sort of look down this and you can see all the history. It's all there between the lines, isn't it?
Yeah,
Let's just go then. Peterborough, 2009, Peterborough, 4 meetings. Wolves 5, Eastbourne 1. Um, back to Stoke, 2009, 41 meetings.
mm.
Yeah, so obviously that's 3 years at Stoke, but then finally you managed to reach the holy grail of speedway tracks, Sheffield Park.
Yeah.
Tell us how you managed to get to Sheffield Park. What was it about the promoters that said, "See this Lee Complin? He's going to become one of the ultimate Sheffield track specialists."
To be honest, I think because I did well there previous, I think they
Yeah.
must have thought, I could do a job.
Hmm.
And to be fair, I can't even remember speaking about going to Sheffield. All I remember was getting the call and getting the contract and thinking, wow, I'm actually here. And it is my track. I mean, it's a big racer's track. And it's one of those where, look at Chris Harris, the
Yeah.
line he's pulling off. It just shows that it is a racer's track, isn't it? It
Yeah.
definitely is. But yeah, I remember this going back now. So I remember when I was there with Sheffield and I did really well against Berwick. And then I think I was going down the back straight, and obviously I'd won the race, and we did really well. I think I was getting a lot of jip from a lot of spectators, with the language, and the fingers and stuff. But it was funny then because I got a guest booking like the week after at
Yeah.
Berwick, and I was scared to actually race because I'm thinking, God, are they going to be the same then? But they welcomed me, and then yeah, it's just one of those where it was fantastic.
Do you know what? Paul Thorpe had exactly the same experience. He was riding for Hull one week and getting
Mm,
booed, and he's
yeah,
patting his backside and blowing kisses to the crowd.
yeah,
Next week he's guesting for us.
yeah. That's
it's
exactly
it's
the
it's
same.
it's just the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've kind of just got to appreciate the speedway. Yes, there is this. Obviously, there's this team sort of mentality, which I want to get onto you, got on with you later on with regard to. Well, actually, no, sorry. And now is the ideal opportunity. You ended up as the captain, the skipper of Berwick Bandits.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, because what do you see as being the role of the skipper in a speedway team?
Um, it's an out and out person who always thinks about the team. Like with me now, like so when Newcastle folded, obviously I went to the Devils in the Edinburgh
Yes.
Devils, and I did loads of team riding there with Josh Embleton.
Yep.
People were saying like, "What? How come you team riding?" I'm like, "Well, why not?" Like, well, no one does it now. I'm like, "Yeah, but look what we've done. We've done three five
Yes.
ones."
Yeah.
But that's what I've always been like. And to be fair, that's thanks to Sean Wilson because he used to shepherd me home. He used to like literally. I remember we're going down the straight, and I think I was going for a big blast right outside of Sean, and he pointed to inside like that, said, "Go to inside," and I went to inside, and yeah. So it's what I've learned,
Yep.
Sean. I think, and it's kind of it'll never change. I'm always going to be a team player.
Yep. And I'd imagine that also there's a certain amount of I'm going to change codes here. Cricket. I
Hmm.
don't know how keen you are on the cricket, but I mean, recently England have been absolutely fantastic with Ben Stokes, and you get the impression that because Ben Stokes would run through a brick wall, everybody else would run through a brick wall to follow him.
Yeah.
Because Lee Complin pulls these lines around Shearfield,
Well, I'm kind of showing
everybody
people it
else
can be
is.
done. So it's like I'm showing people it can be done. So
Yeah.
then they're thinking, hold on a minute, yeah, it can be done. I'm going to give it a go. I mean,
Yeah.
I think who was it? Who rides for the Bullets? What's his name now?
Greg Blair.
Not Greg. The other lad, number one.
Oh, Kyle Bickley, yeah.
Kyle Bickley. He did
Yeah.
it against Glasgow, didn't he? Did you remember that?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
fantastic.
Kyle is just a fantastic rider and a great lad, and he's someone I've got a lot of time for. And to see him do that, his confidence just blew through the roof
Yep.
because it shows that anyone can do it if they go for it. And the pass he did was fantastic. And even now, I watched it actually the other day and thought, yeah, good lad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to speak ill of anybody, but at the same time, you got the sense that there might be certain riders who, because they haven't made the gate, they're almost riding around almost like sulking, as if this is Sheerfield, this isn't my place.
Well, if you go there as a rider
Yeah,
and you look how big it is, you do get a bit like wow. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So when you're behind, you're thinking, where do I go?
yeah,
Which line do I go? I'll just stay down here. I'll get round.
yeah,
A lot of mentality in that is where they're just happy just getting round because it is a racer's track and you do need to hit it hard.
yeah.
And when you don't, it does show. Definitely
Sure.
does.
Obviously, you were with us for up until 2012. I'll give you the statistics. 2010, you did 24 meetings for the Bandits, average 7.17. Following year, 40 meetings for the Bandits, average 7.61, two paid maximum. And then the following year, 2012, 22 meetings at an average of 7.73, one full maximum, but you go down in folklore history here at the Bandits as having won that 4-team tournament with what I think most people would agree was a team of out-and-out racers.
That day was
Can I
fantastic.
just go and sort out the dog and
Yeah,
let you talk for a couple of minutes about the 2012 4-team tournament? I'll
yeah,
just be a
no,
second.
yeah. The 4-team tournament. It was me, Seb Alden, Ricky Ashworth, and the French. Oh, I forget his name now. And it was. I think I crashed and I broke my knuckle, but I didn't tell anyone. I just got on and rode. And I always remember that the fans were just cheering us on to the point where you could hear them as you were going around the track. And Ricky and Seb in that last race it was just one of those where the whole stadium went on the feet because it was a race that it was won or lost, and that's what it was. But we all stuck together. I mean, George and Hepburn, he was there, and obviously all the other chaps and that Ian Ray. When we all came together, and I think went into the pits and we were having a good chat about it. And I think they were saying, "Yeah, we can do this. We can do it." And like I said, with that last race, it was all on that last race, and it was fantastic. It really was. I mean, you saw the pictures. I mean, when we won and all the fans, it was just an experience you'll never forget.
We were discussing this as the greatest Bandits team of all time, and the nominations, of course, are you'll remember them well. The Bandits of 1980.
Mm.
No, you weren't even conceived then.
No,
No, the Bandits of '89.
no,
No, I don't think you were conceived then either.
no. 84, I would concede.
The Bandits of The Bandits of '91 won the Gold Cup. They had fantastic lineup. They were in the top flight. They had Jimmy Nielsen, Calvin Tatum,
Oh,
and
no, no,
Richard Knight, and they won the Gold Cup that year. But
right.
then we fast forward to in the third division. We were League and Cup champions 2 years running
Right.
at Berrington, but then Berrington closed. Obviously, you never got a chance to ride at Berrington
No,
because just before your time.
no.
And then we go to 2002 when we had a very successful season with in the 4-team tournament where we won the final at Coventry with Mikkel Makovsky, Adrian Rimmel,
Rumel,
Paul Bentley,
yeah.
I mean, Paul Bentley just struck me as being hard as nails.
He was literally a rider that he was very like thinking, yeah, I know he's in this race. Yeah, I'm a bit wary, like, yeah, he was.
And Klaus Christensen,
Yeah,
who loved Owlerton so much that I think every time there was an away meeting at Owlerton, he was off on the injured list.
yeah, he was,
I
wasn't
don't think he ever did
he?
get a
No, he didn't.
meeting at Owlerton. I mean, he must have been there once and realised this ain't for me.
Yeah, I think he did say that this isn't for me. No,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely not.
And of course, then 2012, that 4-team tournament winning team, and you know, we talk about them being out and out races as we discussed on Sunday. You've got Seb Alden. He only needs third place. What were you saying to him in the pits as captain?
To be fair, I can't remember word for word.
I'm putting you on the spot here. I
But
realise that.
do recall me saying we need to box wise because it isn't about winning. It's about winning the race. We need to make sure we get the places we need to bring it back. And obviously, when he got off and that, and then Ricky, and I'm like, right, stay, that'll do. But he just kept going and going. I'm thinking, oh, don't just stay on the bike, just stay on the bike. Honestly, the atmosphere was fantastic. I mean, I think I lost my voice after then. To be fair,
I think also as well, what struck me was that obviously as captain, your first sort of emotions of congratulating Seb and the rest of the team. Your next emotion is to go and be with the fans.
yeah.
You know,
Because the fans they came all that way to support us, and like I said, you could honestly, this is no exaggeration, you could hear them. I mean, Bandits fans, you can hear them no matter where you are.
Yeah.
And it was great, and it must have been good for them because they've used their own time, their own money to come and support us when they don't need to. Do you know what I mean? And for us to bring it back was just icing on the cake. It definitely was.
Yeah, I think 2 points there. First of all, that Berwick is and the surrounding area is not densely populated. It is a small rural community, but they love their speedway, and they have done since 1968. And you just get this this situation whereby even the football team now of sort of fallen off a cliff, as it were, which is very sad. But even the famous Berwick Rangers football club are not the club they were, and yet the Bandits are still going strong. There's definitely this empathy between everybody involved in Berwick that. We might be a small club. We might be in the middle of nowhere. We might be on the edge of the North fucking Sea, and nobody wants to come here. But we're here, and we're gonna put it out there, and we're gonna,
I do remember them when I was there. We had a little changing room, up by the pits area, and now they've actually in the actual stadium changing rooms now, aren't they? And I mean, what a difference that makes! Trust me, it really does.
Well, I'm sure that you'll get to enjoy them when you visit with Glasgow next season. Just quickly moving on then. Sorry, can I suggest it was some sort of again not a falling out of love with Speedway, but it was other things that caused you to retire after 2012?
Yeah, it was having a child, and that I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't give my all, and I was never a gator anyway, was I? That was my forte.
You sometimes were.
You what? Sorry.
You sometimes were, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen videos of you gating, and it's like the rest of the field are like half a lap behind.
Yeah. The thing is, when I do gate, I come to the first corner. I'm thinking, right, where do I go? Especially when I don't gate, I've got to go where they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, it's it was just I couldn't concentrate. A lot of things were going on in my personal life again, and it is just literally always been something holding me back, and instead of carrying on and not doing, as you can see with the results, when I did do it, I did fairly well,
Mm.
and when I stopped, it was because I couldn't commit. And I'm one of these people. If I can't commit, then there's no point in wasting anybody's time. Like when Dave Tatum asked me to come back, and we'd got the contract written up, everything we'd done, and I just said to him, "Look, I'm 95%. I'm not
Mm.
100. I don't want to waste your time." And that's why I didn't come that year. But then
Yeah.
obviously again, I came the year after anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm one of these people. I am all or nothing because that's me. I give my heart and my soul to it.
Oh, Lee, I mean, there's no doubt about it. We only need to watch the footage of you blasting around Shielfield Park to realise,
Yeah, yeah.
and I mean, again, going back to the 4-team tournament, I'm sure you were riding with a fairly serious injury, weren't you?
I broke my knuckle. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, my finger. Which one is it now? I can't see it now. It's
I mean,
yeah,
that is like true Ben Stokes, isn't it?
yeah. Well, what happened was I think I'm trying to. I think I came down the straight and someone just clipped my front wheel and it caused me to clip the fence coming into the
Yeah.
turns one, and I went down hard on my hand. And I remember coming into the pits and I was in agony. And I said to George, "I've broke my hand. I broke my hand." He goes, "You haven't, you haven't." I goes, I have." And he looked at my finger and he was like, "Yeah, that's not good." But we needed me to go out my next race and just get some points on the board. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to have got any. Then we wouldn't have been in the position we was in the last race.
Yeah.
So I think one of the paramedics said, "Oh, let me look at your hand." I'm like, "No, no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm absolutely fine." And I remember him saying, "You're not, you're not." I'm like, "Honestly, I'm fine. Look, I can move my hand." And I moved my finger that it wasn't. So they thought I was fine. So I didn't take my glove off totally. I left it on, strapped it up. And I said, "Right, just when I get on the bike, just pull my clutch in for me." So I got it on one finger. I'll go to the line. I'll just get round there. I think I only got a point, but then that put us in good stead for the last race.
It's just absolutely remarkable the things that Speedway riders would do.
I remember when we were celebrating afterwards and we were all jumping around. I remember like forgetting about it and someone bashed it. And I swear down, I just thought, yeah, remember now. I do remember now. Yeah, yeah,
Oh dear.
yeah.
Uh,
It was fantastic.
classic,
It
absolutely
really was.
classic. Yes. Oh, sorry. Hold on a sec. We've lost. There we go. So fast forward to 2022.
Yep.
I must admit, I had lots and lots of conversations with fellow fans about the return of the prodigal son, Lee Complin, returning to Speedway a second time.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking, yeah, he might be 37 years old, but he's not. In the head, he's not 37 years old. He's
I'm
not had that.
16.
He's not had the sort of traumas
No.
that somebody who's been riding Speedway since they were, for 21 years will have had.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really unfortunate, wasn't it, that Newcastle folded. And I remember you very kindly came on and had a chat with us on the day that it was announced that Newcastle had closed down. And what a
Yeah.
sad day that was, because it was.
It really was. I mean, it wasn't an easy thing for Rob Grant to do, and
Yeah.
he was losing that much money. And I know
Mm.
people like will put him in the spotlight. Yeah, he's the manager. He owns it. He should be doing this. But he put that much heart and soul into it. He
Yeah.
made himself poorly, and he was getting himself in debt. And end of the day, if it weren't for Rob Grant and that, I wouldn't be back in Speedway, would I? So in my eyes, I do owe him.
I remember when Berwick went to Newcastle, and I think we lost something like 46, 40, 43, something like that. We narrowly lost, and there was a long delay. And who should be trying to sort of entertain the fans? None other than Lee Complin. If you want to come on and do a bit TikTok with us,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's just that's that's testimony, isn't it, to the longevity of the fact that you've been in the sport for a long time. Okay,
Mm.
there's been periods when you've been out, but you've realised, obviously, you realise what this sport is all about. It's about entertaining the fans.
At the end of the day, they're the people that pay your wages in a sense. You know,
Yeah.
people coming through the gate. And if it isn't for the spectators coming through the gates, then we would have no Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the most time for the spectators. If anyone ever wants out, you know, I've had loads of people messaging me and asking me questions about stuff. I've answered questions and stuff, and you can never give enough back to the
Sure.
Speedway. And I think more people need to think, yeah, you're right, and do the same,
Yeah.
because they're just some people come to a meeting, do the meeting, and that's it. You know.
Yeah. I mean, has since joining as a 16-year-old at Sheffield, has the past 21 years just been a bit of a blur?
It has really, and it is quite upsetting because I'd love to have seen where I would have got,
Yeah.
but you don't know if I'd have got injured. This is what I mean. Things happen for a reason, and I'm a big believer of that. So it is what it is. But I will say one thing. What it's just reminded me. Can you remember when I rode for Berwick, me and
Yeah.
Seb Alden,
Yeah.
against Newcastle in the cup in the beginning of the year? There was the cup
Right.
that we went home and away, didn't we?
The Tyne Tees Trophy.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in heat
Sorry,
15,
Tyne
yeah,
Tweed Trophy. Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
heat 15. Yeah, and we needed 4-2 to win, and then a 3-all to draw, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And Seb made an absolute peach of a start. I think they were all in bend one. I was just leaving the start tapes. I remember it was Stuart Robson and Mark Lemon,
Yeah.
and I think it was I passed them both on that pit turn, and we got a 5-1. And that's another moment where it was the first time we won it with Berwick, wasn't it?
Well, at one time we used to win it regularly, but
Mm,
then Newcastle suddenly became very strong. But I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I mean, talk about the fact that you dare I say it, you're talking about two riders who know they only need a 3-all.
yeah,
You're not gonna give them an easy time.
no,
If there's somebody there, like you said, if you make the gate and you've nobody in front of you, what the hell do I do next?
yeah.
Not
It
make
was,
the gate and
yeah,
got somebody. That's somebody. That's that. They've got a target on their back, haven't
yeah.
they?
Of course they have. Of
Yeah.
course, they have,
It's very much. Dare I say, it's very much the Greg Blair philosophy as well, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. Mm.
If he doesn't make the gate, it's far more entertaining. Chris Harris, if he doesn't make the gate, this
I
this
mean, like
this is what we need, isn't it?
spectators want to see passing. They don't want to see
Yeah.
someone get and go. They want to see a bit of battling and stuff, and it makes it all better in general as well, doesn't it?
Well, it's I think the ultimate thing is we want closeness of racing.
Yeah,
We, as you say, we don't want it processional. We want closeness of racing. I suppose if you're a diehard fan and your team go out and get a 5-1 and the opposition are 20 yards behind, you're quite happy. But you don't want to see that race after race. I've seen that. I've seen Berwick destroy
mm.
Exeter 78-18 at Barrington
Wow,
Lough.
wow,
It was from the gate.
mm.
Very rarely did Berwick need to do anything, and
Yeah,
it's like where do you apportion blame? Is it because the Berwick riders are so good and the Exeter riders are so inept at the tiny tight track? When you realise the county ground,
mm.
it's yeah. So anyway, let's just move forward then to
I'll just stop you 1 second.
yeah.
So you remember when I guested for Berwick at Newport? This is gonna
Well, I've heard about this. I
yeah,
wasn't there.
right. So basically, I guested for Berwick down at Newport, and I was late getting there, good traffic and things. My dad drove obviously because I was only young.
Yeah.
And, I came away with a 21-point maximum.
I've heard about this.
Yeah,
I've heard the Oracle Marty Clyde talk about this.
yeah. I mean,
And
somewhere on cassette. And you know what? I'd love to get my hands on that. If anyone out there has that, just hook me up. Definitely.
No, I mean, look, I mean that meeting at Newport, Berwick always used to do well at Newport, but I wouldn't have said Newport. That what's it called? The Kingsway Meadow or something?
I'm not too
Was
sure.
what was it called? Really bugging me because I used to take my dad. I took my dad a couple of times to see Mad Mick, Mikhail
Right.
Makovsky, and Adrian Ramel against Newport. I took him a couple of years.
Mm.
We drove down through the Forest of Dean, and he absolutely loved it on the way back because he got me to stop at every fucking pub so he could have a half lager and a slimline panatella.
I
But you
bet.
know that's the things you do for the old man, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
yeah. But I wouldn't have said Newport was Queens. Was it called Queensway? The track there. Anyway, I
Sure.
wouldn't have said it was a Lee Complin type of track, although maybe with Luma Road there's certain
It was a
similarities.
bizarre track. It kind of just worked for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't very shale. It was quite sandy as well. And there was like a blue line all the time.
Right.
And I
There
do
we go. There we
recall.
go. Mythman, Haley Stadium, possibly Queensway Meadows. Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. Queensway. I got the name right eventually.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, obviously Newcastle folded. You then well, you then told us that you were gonna. We got you on for a live chat, and you told us that you were riding for the Armadale Devils. I
Yep.
was at that debut meeting. Things didn't go. Oops.
Sorry, someone tried
Things.
ringing me.
It's okay. It's okay. Things didn't go quite according to plan for the Armadale Devils that night. Instead of a 55-35 victory for the Devils, I think it was Kent that ended up with the 55-35. It was it was a tough meeting for the Devils, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
Yes.
How did you enjoy your time at Armadale?
I loved it. I mean, the guys up there were fantastic. The lads
Yeah.
as well. You know what I mean? They got off to a bad start, and the morale was down. You know what I mean? They just wasn't clicking, and there was no team spirit. And Lee Complin comes along with his silly attitude and gets people laughing and giddy up and that. So I just give him the Lee Complin attitude, where come on lads, let's get some points, let's get some wins in, and they did. I mean, Josh Embleton, he did fantastic. I mean, I shepherded him around a couple of times and we got 5-1s, and even he said to me, he goes, how do you do it? How do you ride around the track and take your hand off the point where you want me to go? Then that's again going back to the Sean Wilson days.
Yeah.
And it's great to be able to do it. And people said they don't see that kind of racing no more. It's all like people are out for themselves. That's it. They're gone. But with me, I'll do all to get my teammate round.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff. I mean, obviously all the cliches under the sun about you being obviously a natural born racer, bike rider, etc. I mean, you've already told us you started at the age of 3, so So looking forward to next year, I must admit, I messaged you and I said that early on in this season, I reckon that the Bandits would have for their reserve pairing Ace Piper and Lee Complin.
Mm.
Well, I was right with the pairing, but
Yeah.
wrong with the team.
I know.
So tell us a bit about how all that came about. But you have to be careful, mind, because just because I'm a Capaldi, the bosses over there at Glasgow, they might just say, "A fucker to Capaldi." You tell him a fucking nothing.
Yeah. No, obviously ended last season and stuff, and had a couple of teams, whispering about maybe wanting me and things like that. It kind of went a bit quiet, and I was still speaking to a couple of teams. Excuse me. And Eddie McKenna from up Glasgow, he got in contact with me and was kind of speaking, would I be interested in going to Glasgow and things like that. And Eddie used to sponsor me back in the day, did Eddie. He's what we do now. This is going back when I was at Berwick,
Wow.
um, and he's like he got chatting to me, and then we were talking about what ifs and this and other, and he kind of got me in there a little bit, I suppose, and Chris Harris as well. So it was kind of like all above board, all done down the correct channels and things. But yeah, he was the one who kind of was the in between man, should we say, for me in Glasgow. So I mean, thanks to him for being that in between man, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose my question would be that, being at reserve with a 16, 17-year-old, I mean, are you going to have to change diapers?
I'll wipe his snot from his nose every time and give him a
I'm
pat
kidding.
on.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking, Ace.
No,
I've actually contacted Ace and I invited him on this evening to join you. But as I say, he's got the same lurgy that you've got,
I
except
am. Yeah,
he's
I do
lost his
apologise
voice.
if I look rough, guys. I'm absolutely, I'm really
and
bad.
and hopefully we'll get Ace on soon. But
Well, Ace, I've been watching Ace in his meetings and things, and
yeah,
up at Berwick and things. But I'm very good friends with Theo as well. Obviously, I've
yeah.
done a lot of meetings with Theo, and we have a lot of time for each other. So it's one of those where I think we're going to be a pairing to contend with. Put it that way.
Well, I mean, certainly when it comes to Glasgow, Berwick versus Glasgow, we're going to have to be very wary of this reserve pairing,
Yeah,
or dare I say it, that Lee Complin is not going to be happy just staying at reserve. He might have had to stay at reserve because circumstances worked against him
yeah,
last year, but there's unfinished business, isn't there, for Lee,
yeah. I
my
mean,
son?
I finished off the season with Plymouth, and
Yeah,
I banged in quite a few points there. I think
yeah.
against Poole, I got 15.
It's a tiny track.
Yeah, but again, that's down to Tony
Ex-
Stark.
yeah,
So Tony Stark spent a lot of time with me, and Paul helped me out a lot as well. Let me
yeah.
stay at his house and helped me with my bikes, showed me these little bits that I were missing. Tony spanned for me a lot of times, and he brought out his own clutch plate, evolved clutch plates, which I've been using. And Lee Compin did not get. Lee Compin does get. You know what I mean? So that is down to the clutch plates and Tony's help setting the clutches up, and it's kind of all worked together. And I really do thank Tony so much for all his help, him and his family. Like I said, he's brought these clutch plates out, and I think they're gonna take off. Put it that way, people are gonna be using them definitely. If
and
I can get on them, people who can get it will be a lot better.
but Lee, you've always had a good sort of number of sponsors, including, I believe, God, I've not got it up there. Hold on a sec. You
Drew,
sent
Drew and
AGF plant hire.
yeah, that's Drew and
Yeah.
Trish Fiddles.
Yes. Yeah. Tell
They
us a little bit about them.
they have been behind my in my corner from the word go.
Wow.
They've literally been the only sponsor that stuck by me, and even when I came back, he was like, "Fantastic! It's great to see you back." And bang, he was straight in there, and it's on a personal level as well with them because
Yes.
I mean, I went up on his birthday, surprised him on his birthday because I think that's right, I was racing at Plymouth, and I got home at quarter to 6 in the morning, 5:30.
Yeah.
I went to sleep for 2 hours, got up, did my bike, prepped it, washed it and prepped it really kind of quick so I could get up there. And he said, "Oh, I know you can't make it. It'd be really good to see you." And I was determined. I thought, something,
Yeah.
you've done so much for me. This is
Yes.
minor. So I
Yeah.
made sure that I got up with just 2 hours sleep. And my missus drove up for me so I could have a little sleep. And I surprised him. And the look on his face to see me
Yeah.
was the friendship we have together is just second to none. I mean, they are such great people, and they've put a lot of money into Speedway as well. And without people like them, we wouldn't have Speedway.
It's such a big thing, isn't it? The old sponsorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, and also, I suppose, in fairness, it's trying to get people through the turnstiles, and that's the thing about yourself. As I said earlier, yourself, the Chris Harrises, the Mark Larams, the entertainers, the Seb Aldens, the Adrian Ramels, the
Yeah.
the Ricky Ashworths. There's plenty of them to give credit to, but from a Berwick point of view, you must realise that you are considered one of the greatest exponents at Sheffield Park, and you will always be considered a Berwick legend. That's
Well,
and
that
and,
is an
and
honour.
it's worth bringing people through the door, just to see these riders.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm there as a rider, as a spectator, I'll still act the same. I'm not going to change who I am. Yeah, I am who I am, and that's what people want to see. So if I'm going there to watch Berwick versus Plymouth, say, and I'm not even riding, I'll still give my old bubbly self and have a laugh and things because that's what people want to see. People want to see this, and
Well,
this is why we need it.
be very careful, because if you make your way to Sheffield Park as a spectator, I warn you, there is a sheer nutcase just before the third bend in this brightly coloured shirt who might take you to the bar and play with pints of Stella Artois. So you have to be very careful of him.
Right. Well, make sure he gives me a wave next time I'm there.
And you can call me Dad anytime.
Yeah, that'll do, Dad.
Lee, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting with you. Actually, I'll tell you, we've still got another 4 minutes before the hour's closed. Could I quickly ask you about what you're looking forward to do next season? Any thoughts on what your hopes and expectations might be for
This
2023?
might sound like I'm being big-headed or anything like that, but I'm
No,
not.
no. You
Speaking
go
from the
for
heart.
it. Yeah.
So basically, what's really good about this situation is I'm not going to be in the reserve berth long if everything goes according to plan.
Yep.
But then whoever comes in from the main body of the team, they're not going to want to be in the reserve berth either.
No.
So this is where it's going to be exciting. This is where it's going to be. But it's good to be reserved. You get more rides.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
but
yes.
I'm very grateful that Cammy give me the opportunity. So Glasgow, thank you guys, legend. So hopefully, like I've said to Cammy, I want they're so professional. I mean, I went up and did the little video the other week, and wow, I mean, that's what Speedway needs. They're just fantastic, and they're so welcoming, and Cammy's got the same mentality as me, and that is he wants to win. And
Lee, I was blown away last season when I went to Glasgow for the first time in about, I would say, maybe 5 or 6 years, and it was so much better. The stadium, everything was, you could tell everything was on a higher plane.
Oh yeah,
I can't help thinking that Glasgow, you need to be up in the Premiership, but then it's almost like the Premiership, the Championship. They're so close, aren't they?
They are actually. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there's not much difference now, is there?
No.
Really. But you go back some years, and there was a massive difference.
Well, I think they're trying to create that gap, aren't they, with the likes of Dan Bewley, and we saw Robert Lambert back. I mean, as a Sheffield fan, I mean, what did you make of Bellevue versus Sheffield last year? I know there was complaints on social media about Dan Bewley, Robert Lambert coming back, but I thought that was absolutely brilliant to see riders of his ilk. And I
don't understand what's the problem. I mean, he's going to put bums on seats. He's going to bring people through the gate. So hats off to the guy. I mean, I think he's a good rider. Do you know what I mean? And for him to come back and do what he's done,
Yeah.
and people giving him all the grief. He's chosen him in a good light that he's not listened to all that. He's gone out and he's done his job, and he's done a fantastic job.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, we all want to see British riders excelling. We realize that that there has to be other riders from other countries, and I mean, if it hadn't have been for likes of Seb Alden,
Yeah,
you know, and Adrian Ramel and Michael Makovsky,
yeah.
and Jimmy Nielsen, we wouldn't have had the great Berwick teams of the
No,
past.
we wouldn't. This is why
You
we
know,
all pull together, and it
yeah,
doesn't matter where you're from. End of the day, if you've got the capability to ride that speedway bike, you get on and ride the speedway bike. Simple.
yeah. Sorry, one other question that just popped into my mind. National Development League. Any chance of you doing another season with somebody this year, this coming year?
Um, I'm not saying no, but
Yeah,
it's just a big step. I mean, it was good for the track time, because I didn't have a
yeah,
team in place.
yeah,
But now I've got Glasgow. I don't want anything to upset that because I'm dedicated to Glasgow.
yeah.
But I'm not saying no.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Glasgow is my main priority right now, and like I say, you don't know what's around the corner. But I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. But like I say, at this moment in time, I'm zoned in with Glasgow.
Well, listen, Lee, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting with you. And I just feel like, yeah, I'm a bit like your dad.
Yeah.
I feel like that because of some of the experiences that we've had,
Oh
sort of
yeah.
out with Speedway and stuff like that, and just the fact that it's just really nice to chat
Mm,
with yourself and to have a little bit more time to go through stuff like the whole history of Lee Complin,
yeah.
which I think for a lot of people, it's nice to recapitulate over stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, and all I can do is wish you and Ace the very best of luck for.
Thank you.
No, sorry, no. Let me retract.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wish you and Ace the best of luck. I've always said it's got nothing to do with luck; it's to do with talent.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wish you the best for 2023.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that yourself, Ace, and the rest of the team are going to do well. As I'm sure that you're going to keep an eye on the Barrett scores.
Yeah.
You're going to be one of those that as a speedway rider, I'm sure you constantly check on and see
I
what's
do.
going on.
Yeah.
It's
Good to
important.
keep in the loop, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I will say
Lee,
one thing: if people want to try the clutch plates from Tony Stark, Evolve clutch plates, they're the future, boys and girls. I'm telling you now.
I will change the thumbnail to this video to the image that you sent me, and anytime you share that video, that image will come up. Lee, many thanks for
No
joining us.
problem.
I will say cheerio right now,
Right. Thank you very
and
much.
look forward to chatting with you sometime soon.
Yep. Brilliant. Thank you, guys.